do some general water quality lecture as part of that too. So in addition to the just pure water safety. No testing, no. Just talking about water quality in our watershed, and a little bit about the Scatter Creek watershed, just informational. And so they would be required to attend that. It would probably be less than.
So the water safety course, is that something you guys would be funding?
Well, yeah, we've talked to the fire department, and they're willing to do like a CPR aspect of it, and then.
Yeah, that's not like a water safety.
It doesn't have to be water safety. It just has to have an educational.
So any kind of educational piece.
Essentially, for the grant requirement.
But that's on you.
That's all.
You're not like because
we're not asking the.
Yeah, when we have our lifeguards trained, we will we'll contract with a teacher to come in and we send them to a pool and they go through a class.
We're taking care of the
we don't
the training.
Have a mechanism to bring down Sally to come in.
No, all the money that we get discounted and the money that we get from people buying the passes and the grant is all going to go towards buying the season passes. Okay. We're not anticipating paying anybody for the training. So.
Do you have any questions? Does council have any questions for Mr. Rutherford?
I do.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I don't.
Sure.
I think it's a great program, and I appreciate the work you're doing to try to put this forward. I guess I wish there was a way, because I believe there's some families that probably can't even afford $20. Seriously, I mean, I'm taking food to kids over there every week. They can't even afford to buy food for their kids, let alone pay even though $20 is a minimal amount. I wish there was a way that we could at least, I mean, some people, low income, are probably able to handle. I wish there was some way we could identify or give people an opportunity to say, hey, I cannot even afford $20, and have at least some passes available for those people that really just are, I mean, these kids are homeless basically. They don't even have a place to live. So I don't know if that's possible, but.
I mean, we'd like to do that. Like I say, the $20 fee thing is sort of like our concept, just to, because we know we're not going to be able to buy 600 passes. I mean, and so
I'm not going to get everybody though.
I would like to.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. Yeah, that would be great if we could.
Have you thought about having a fundraiser?
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. This is just brand new. Like we've just conceived of this in the last couple months. So
I guess the proposal I would make is the 25 reduction and up to a certain amount, I don't know, maybe $500 for people that just cannot afford passes that people just say they cannot afford, in addition to the reduction that's available to.
That's beyond us. That's going to be their organization. What he is asking is that we create a special subcategory in the fee schedule that allows for a $75 annual pass.
However you guys want to word it, for nonprofits, maybe other organizations could take advantage of that discount too, like Boys and Girls Club or somebody else. I don't know.
I want to talk to you later about the fundraiser, because I think we could do that.
Okay.
Seriously.
Okay, that'd be great.
Every 2 years we have a splash bash. Why not in the interim have a fundraiser to raise money for kids that can't afford the pool?
That would be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
I'll talk to you.
Okay. So I'll raise that later in the agenda to vote on.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Rutherford?
Commissioner Rutherford? Thank you very much.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you. Yeah.
That brings us to public comments. If there's anyone in the audience that would like to provide public comment, please come forward and do so at this time. You'll be given 3 minutes. State your name and address. All right, moving on. That brings us to proclamations. Mr. Duncan Green, Intercity Transit, requests the Tenino City Council consider proclaiming the month of May as Bicycle Commuter Month.
No problem.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the proclamation of May 2019 as Bicycle Commuter Month. Whereas bicycling is one of the most energy efficient forms of transportation. How many times have I read this? Transportation ever invented, and is a mode of transportation well suited to urban environments where trips are short in length and overly congested roads are difficult and costly to expand and by will, whereas transportation accounts for about a third of the energy used in Washington State and about half carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuel, and whereas bicycle commuting reduces energy consumption, pollution, and congestion, and whereas The National Nonprofit Bicycling Safety and Education Association, the League of American Bicyclists, has declared the month of May to be National Bike Month for each of the last 62 years, and has done so again in 2019. And whereas the City of Tenino supports alternatives in inefficient drive-alone trips, particularly for travel around the city, by building bicycle facilities, sponsoring bike sharing programs, and striving to be bike friendly. And whereas Intercity Transit, with sponsors including the Capital Bicycling Club and many local businesses, is hosting the 32nd Annual Bicycle Commuter Challenge during the month of May 2019. Now therefore we, the Mayor, the City Council of the City of Tenino, Washington, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2019 as Bicycle Commuter Month in the City of Tenino, and encourages all citizens to accept Bicycle Commuter Challenge by reducing single-occupant motor vehicle trips to reduce air pollution, energy consumption, and congestion. Signed in the City of Tenino, Washington, this 9th day of April 2019.
Done.
Do I hear any discussion? You guys better approve it after reading that thing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Yes. Old
Still
business.
mention that to use the Elm Tenino Trail if we're gonna pass this.
The State Department of Revenue requires an agreement to be in place in order to process business licenses on behalf of the City of Tenino. The attached agreement has been reviewed by the City Attorney. Recommended action is to move authorized Mayor Fournier to sign the agreement as presented.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to authorize the Mayor to enter into the agreement with Department of Licensing on behalf of the City of Tenino. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to number 13, proposed ordinance 898. This would amend the Tenino Municipal Code to include special events permit process. It's recommended to accept ordinance 898 as the first reading.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 898, whereas adding an ordinance of the City of Tenino, Washington, adding chapter 16.50 special event permits to the Tenino Municipal Code. We'll read the first and last. Whereas ordinance 698, an ordinance of the City of Tenino, Washington, creating and adding chapter 5.15 to the Municipal Code relating to parade and special events.
I think it's 898, is it 696?
I think
Well, one of the sections repeals.
698 and replaces it with 898.
Okay.
This will be adopted by the City, the Tenino City Council, and approved by its mayor this 23rd day of April 2019, if we have a meeting in April. So I want to talk about that too, don't want to forget. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? That passes the first reading of 898. Now back to the top. Thing.
Should have a button on the bottom, you just pushed it, take you back to the
I
top.
know. Well, I can go by the agenda too. That brings us to proposed ordinance 901. This would amend Tenino Municipal Code to accept the recommendations of the Washington State Department of Revenue regarding business licensing requirements. Recommended action is to move to accept ordinance 901 as the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to accept ordinance 901 as the first reading. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. That brings us to Verizon franchise agreement. It is not up for renewal until 2020. However, Verizon reached out to the city 2 years early in an effort to renegotiate the terms of the franchise agreement more along the lines of a regular lease. Research has shown that respect to cellular technology facilities, a franchise is not the best vehicle for such an agreement. Many cities in Washington State also recognize this fact, and several have moved to agreements that are much more akin to a lease. In addition to being less restrictive for both parties, leases are easier to both parties to administer and offer the advantages from the city's perspective for somewhat higher revenues. Ordinance 902 would adopt the proposed amendment to the Verizon franchise that would, in effect, convert the agreement to a lease and will take effect immediately upon expiration of the current franchise term and will result in increased revenue to the city beginning on June 1st, 2022. Recommended action is to approve ordinance 902 as a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the first reading of ordinance 902. Is there any discussion?
I'm just curious, so what, I mean, I understand the lease versus what they are, but do they have some property where they have a tower on that's in the city, or what is the
So,
the lease about it. I didn't read it, sorry. I didn't,
a franchise agreement like
the power
the
lines.
tower, okay? A franchise, the technical definition is for the private use of a public right-of-way. And if you think about it, that's exactly what they're doing. They got
The power.
with respect to a cellular facility, particularly one that's located entirely within the city park, it's not on a
That's what I was
right-of-way.
wondering.
It's not on a right-of-way. And the only infrastructure to support it is what was installed, there's nothing underground. So it's technically incorrect to call it a franchise. The reason a franchise is more restrictive is because the franchise rates are set by the state's Public Utilities Commission, and they're limited. Whereas the lease,
We can negotiate.
it's easier for both parties to negotiate, that is to break the lease if they want to. There's no public right-of-way to consider, so the risk is, to the city, is what's acceptable to the city. Again, it's entirely within the park, it's fenced off. Access is controlled to the extent that we don't allow people in the park at night. So it's advantageous for Verizon. They're getting a service that normally isn't provided via a franchise. The city attorney is the one that brought it up, said, gee, this looks a lot more like a lease than it does a franchise. What's the prevailing thought out there? So we asked the MRSC, and there are cities across this state that are moving to leases as fast as they can convert them.
I just didn't realize that was
Yeah.
Verizon. I knew there was a tower out there, but, okay.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, thank you. The city's current folding machine is in need of repair.
Make a motion to approve.
That's how I get my shirts
Seconded.
folded. When contacted for an estimate, United Business Machines approached the city with a proposal that would replace the folding machine by including that capability in a new copier. The city's current copier is leased through United Business Machines, and that lease is scheduled to terminate in November 2019. United Business Machines has proposed a new lease that will provide additional capability but at less cost than the current lease, because we have significantly reduced the number of copies we make, because we don't do packets anymore.
Yeah.
God, those were insane. Recommended action, move authorize Mayor Fournier to enter into a new copier lease agreement consistent with the attached proposal. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, thank you. That brings us to item 17, Chief Swain. We discussed this in the work session. Chief Swain requests Mayor Fournier be authorized to hire Reserve Officer Samantha Garcia in a temporary status pending the departure of Officer Craig Klumper to allow her attendance in the next available basic law enforcement academy. We discussed this at length in the work session. So at this point, we're asking council to authorize Mayor Fournier to approve the hiring of Reserve Officer
Second.
Sam Garcia for a period not to exceed 5 months. We have a motion and a second. Chief, do you have anything to say?
I can't tell you how appreciative she's gonna be, and I am very appreciative because it allows us to backfill and be prepared for that when we do have a vacancy, so.
We'll just have her
it's
show up
something.
next meeting and tell us how much she appreciates it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure she'll bake cookies or something.
Something, yeah.
I really like how this shows the value of the reserve program.
I guess.
I think that's something that is amazing. I attended the reserve class last Thursday. Sage and I did. We came in and we spoke to the reserves. There's reserves from Toledo, Tenino, and Mason County.
Lewis County.
Lewis County, Shelton, also.
Yeah.
And so we're bringing into I think what is our full contingent?
7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's great. This is I feel exactly how we should be using it. It sets an example for the other reserves. Those ones in the academy are seeing one of our reserves get this opportunity. So it comes together really nicely. So any other discussion?
And Mr. Mayor, I assume that you and I and John will discuss the appropriate
Yep, the next steps.
steps.
Be frugal with your budget, so we don't have to.
Yeah, we're
We wouldn't be watching
we're
it.
in trouble.
We're not watching it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we gotta pay
Well,
20,000 now.
after what I just heard, I was really
it's an eye opener, huh?
I was really afraid to ask for another body.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted you to
After
witness
this,
that. 'Cause I mean,
yeah,
that's
crazy.
Oh,
crazy stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, we're gonna call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank
very
you
much.
very much.
Number 18, Thurston County is requiring the town of Bucota and the city of Tenino to enter into an interlocal agreement with the county for the purpose of expending rural community support program, RCSP funds held by the county and set aside for the purpose of transportation improvements in Tenino and Bucota. The agreement has been reviewed by the attorney for each agency and has been approved by them as to form. So TRPC and the county sit on these rural chip seal funds is what we call them, and there's a couple different pots of money. They haven't been exactly forthcoming with us that this money's there. You know, like I have to pry it out of them, where it's at, what it is, what it's for, because if we don't spend it, you know where it goes? Right into their coffers. So they're not real helpful about us accessing it. So we have had to be like bulldogs for this money. After we approve this, there's like $63,000 in a pot that is for Tenino and Bucota, and we are asking for an ILA that is going to allow us to just split that. There's another $23,000, $24,000 that is just for us. We intend to apply that money primarily to the bike kiosk, but there will be some other monies hopefully that would be available to perhaps repair some sidewalks. Not all the sidewalks, but maybe a couple places. So that's where we're heading with that. So we are asking that the council move to authorize Mayor Fournier to enter into an interlocal agreement to expend RCSP funds on behalf of the city of Tenino.
And second.
Is there any discussion?
Just have a question. Do we have to identify the projects, or do they just give us some money and we get to use it for?
No, we already are telling that it is going to go to this.
Okay.
But we already programmed for that. That bike kiosk, the bill on it was like $60,000, and so we had to find luckily, I mean, it all comes together. It's a transportation alternative program because it's supporting bicycles. So we have to tell them what we're going to use it for. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. The proposed city official handbook, we've got a plan for that. Proposed resolution 2019 would amend the City of Tenino 2019 consolidated fee schedule by including the tuition fee to be paid to attend the Tenino Toledo Reserve Academy. So if you pull that up, we're amending the fee schedule to allow us to receive funds for those recruits coming from out of town. So we're asking to move to adopt resolution 2019 amending the City of Tenino 2019 consolidated fee schedule to make an amendment for the Tenino Toledo Reserve Academy.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 2019-02 amending the City of Tenino 2019 consolidated fee schedule. Is there any discussion?
So if I understand this correctly, we've already moved to have an account for it, now we're.
That's the next one.
Yeah, and that's what this one is to allow us to accept the money.
Yep, this creates the fee and the fee schedule,
Yeah,
and then the next one is the ordinance that would create the fund within the budget. We had the presentation from Will. It would essentially be a similar action that when we're going to have to act on the fee schedule by resolution to make a subcategory. So
Can we just do that now and amend that fee schedule right now to say to reduce the family, so it's done?
yeah,
I would make an amendment to add to the fee schedule a $25 reduction in the family pass for.
let's stick with
For
what
approve-
we're at first.
well, okay. I mean, you can make a motion after that.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fair. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to adopt resolution 2019 amending the City of Tenino 2019 consolidated fee schedule to create a fee for the Tenino Toledo Reserve Academy. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. So now, if you'd like to make an amendment to the agenda to add item 20A, an amendment of the 2019-02 fee schedule to create a subcategory for approved nonprofits to get a reduced,
No.
and let's just go with that. You guys are gonna approve what nonprofits
nonprofits? I thought it was just low income.
No, this
Oh,
is,
for him,
this is
okay,
for
that's
them.
going to him, okay.
This is
yeah.
for them, they're gonna be the ones that are the qualifiers.
Okay, I got it.
You're
I'll make that
voiced it.
motion.
So we have a motion on the floor to
Second.
amend the agenda to create 20A. This would amend the 2019-02 fee schedule to include a subcategory within the pool annual early bird fee to knock off $25 for approved nonprofits. Is there a second?
I did.
Second.
Okay, that opens it up for discussion.
Yeah, I just think that's a good thing to try to keep our low-income kids' opportunities to be active, and so I support doing that.
Okay, any other discussion? Alright, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes, thank you. I'm total agreement, I think it's great what they're doing. That brings us to ordinance 900. This would amend the 2019 budget to add Fund 450, the Tenino Toledo Reserve Academy Operating Fund.
Move approval.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve ordinance 900's first reading. Move to approve as the second reading and adopt ordinance 900 at amending the 2019 municipal budget. So this is a timely thing. So, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes to adopt and approve ordinance 900 as to adopt ordinance 900 amending the 2019 municipal budget. That brings us to reports. Chamber of Commerce, Economic Development Council, Fire District, Library, Museum.
Oh. I'm waiting on reports for them.
Okay. Civil Service Commission has no report, Park Commission has no report, Planning Commission has no report, Facade Improvement Grant Review Committee.
I am going to set up a meeting for probably the second week in May. I'm gonna try for it, and I'll be through with it,
Okay.
then we can meet.
Chief of Police. You all have an annual report in front of you from the Chief of Police. Take it home, put it on your bookshelf, read it tonight in bed. You haven't read it yet? The Chief did an excellent job putting this together, and this really sets the standard for, anybody to come after him.
Yeah, my hope is that for as long as you have me here, you're gonna get one of those every year. And it's just sort of a snapshot of what we've done. I didn't have a whole lot of information before I got here, but it certainly contains everything that we've done since I've been here. The team has done just an excellent job of putting the department back on track, and I'm very proud of the work our team has done. So, enjoy those. If you have any questions, please, email me or get a hold of me, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you
We're
might
pretty
have.
proud of what you and the team have done also.
Thank you very much. Real quick, just run through what I have. The Reserve Academy has started, as the mayor mentioned. They are doing their classroom time right now for about the next 3 weeks. And it's 2 days, weekdays, and then it's Saturday, 8 to 4. So they've got some long days ahead of them, but well worth it in the end. The Lewis County guy, he's a kid that came up through the cadet ranks and has just kind of spent all of his time with Lewis County Sheriff from the time he was 14 years old. So now he's 22, and he was hired by them. And so that's kind of one of those things that we are always proud of. You see these kids that we, especially in this day and age, we get concerned about. And I'm happy to see that the cadets corps is doing well. We had a tabletop exercise with the with the school district, The scenario that we put through was an active shooter at the high school. I will tell you that it's the first time in a very long time, is my understanding, that the school district has done a tabletop or even an exercise of this type. And I know Rachel got some feedback on what we did, and I will tell you that the table was full of everybody, all the players that needed to be there. And as we went through the scenario, I would interject stuff on purpose to see what the school district administration, how they would handle certain things. And so one of the big things that we came across was, if you have injured students as a result of being shot, it is very difficult to not want to go help. And what we found was staff and those really wanted to go get those students that were down and drag them out right away, forgetting that they're introducing themselves now into a scenario where they're now going to be threatened, their lives are going to be threatened. And so at the end of it, when we did our debrief, I think the staff realizes that it's going to be managing chaos, and it's not going to be easy to overlook some things until later. That one of those being injured, we're not going to go in and worry about the injuries until we resolve the threat. And so, as for the cops and everybody that is still in the building, stepping over bodies, it's an unnatural act. It's not something that we want to do. And so we really had an opportunity to talk through that. We had fire department personnel there. We had people from the local, what are they called, the people that do the deaths?
Coroner.
Yeah, but in Washington, you guys call them something else. I can't remember what it is now, but we had the coroner's office there. We had the prosecuting attorney's office there. We had emergency management from Thurston County was there. So all the players were there. Dispatch was there, and we were able to just really run through some things that were good. One of the key things that happened is that Joe Belmonte bought new radios for all the staff, for all the schools. And we've got the police channel installed into those radios so that we can talk to each other and talk to them.
That's great.
Yeah, and so we're pretty happy about that. And it's gonna help us, with our response. The next thing, and then I promise I'll leave you alone, I had Les Lamb and Donna Wilson sit out on the avenue here and count trucks one day, just for Saturday and Sunday. And I did that because I wanted citizens to see that this is pretty amazing how many trucks go through here in a weekend. So they counted 81. 81 trucks that went through on a Saturday and Sunday.
A few
Now,
hours, or how long were they out there?
I have no idea, but that's
a lot
what,
still.
that's what they counted.
That's on the weekend.
And
Imagine
so-
during the week.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
It's terrible.
and so, again, I go back to the scales. So I have found a grant that I would like your permission to apply for through the Traffic Safety Committee for the state. The grant is for around $12,000. The scales only cost me $8,000. I found a good set of scales that I could get for $8,000, and then we could use the other money to offer training for the officers. But I'd like your permission to apply for it at least, and there's no guarantee obviously, but it's a grant that I found that, we tried with Nisqually this year and they turned us down, so this is one I'd like to apply for. Because I still want to do this. and I still wanna be fair about it, and I want it to be robust, but at the same time, I really do wanna hammer home the message that it's 25 miles an hour,
Yeah.
whether you're a big truck, a scooter, or whatever.
ATV.
Yeah, it's 25 miles an hour, and we're gonna stick to it. And so that's kinda where I'm at with that, and again, I'm gonna be asking for approval, for your approval to apply for that grant.
Is that at the next meeting, or?
Yeah,
We'll get it on the next agenda. Just
okay.
give us the information.
yeah, cause I'm still getting some of the information back, so.
I don't think.
And as always,
Good information.
if all of
To
you,
accept money, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but he would just coordinate with me to make sure that there's not something,
And it was.
some
weird
reason
about
not
it,
to.
yeah. So, I'm open for any questions that you all might have of me, any comments, anything.
I just wanna point everybody to this, the statistics block on page 11. And you know, when you say, oh, we gave out a bunch more traffic tickets, you know, initially people would think, oh, that's not nice, and, you know, you're making a speed trap, but we went, in 2016, there were 76 traffic tickets given out but we had no cops. 2017, we wrote 383. What that represents is a lot of people that were getting away with speeding through town. They were breaking the law and they were getting away with it. From 59 arrests to 150 arrests the next year. To go from 21 burglaries in 2016 to 8 burglaries in 2018. You know, this is significant. I mean, that really shows us what our police department provides us. So, you know, it's great to catch these numbers and see them.
And the numbers reflect only reported crimes, and as we know, there's some that go unreported. And so, I was very happy with the numbers. Thank you for mentioning that, Mr. Mayor. The numbers do indicate that as a whole, and in comparison to other cities, maybe not our size, but in comparison to Yelm and Lacey and Tumwater, our crime rate here in Tenino is very small. Yeah, knock on wood.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so visible, people have a big reaction, but when you really look at the numbers, you know,
It's a nice place.
yeah, it's a good
It
place.
is. And it's gonna grow a little bit, so I fully expect that.
Is there any other questions for the chief? All right, Public Works Director.
Thank you.
He provided a picture of some of the work that they've done on the west entrance. Not the best picture, but if you drive by there, you'll see that they put kind of like a rock scape in front of the waterfall that looked like a stream coming out of there. It looks real nice.
It does. I did a double take
Yeah,
when I saw
they're
it.
pretty proud of it too. So if you see them, let them know. There was a bunch of there was like sofas back behind there that have been there for years. They hauled those off to the dump. So they've done a good job kind of spring cleaning. You'll see all the signs are up.
That's where I go to relax.
Are you upset they took your sofa away? See you, Chief. So they're working hard. They've done a good job. They're ready for spring and summer, and they're still working at it. So that's good. City planner, building official, city attorney, clerk, treasurer. Do you have a report?
I do. Can't find it.
That means you don't.
No, it's in there.
Thanks for coming, Steve.
You bet, I'll see you next.
Have a good day, sir.
All right.
Good night.
I get through Denver report.
Yeah, it is.
Steve.
Steve.
Steve Wellings, he's a Lions Club member.
Oh, okay.
Betsy is a music teacher, his wife at Park.
Oh, quite a bit more in there from the public works director too. Okay, so.
It's hard to access everything because the computer system.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So the last time I gave you a report was the first meeting in February. So these numbers look like a significant jump, but realize that it's been incremental. So overall, our revenues are 9.3% of projections and expenditures are almost 20% of projections. The target rate there is 28.8%. So again, under revenues, under expenditures. But with respect to the general fund, we're tracking more like we would expect. When you take the other funds out of the equation, then revenues are 21% and expenditures are 30%, which is about where we should be. I've started the annual report preparation. My goal was to have that to you by next meeting. The due date for it is May 31st, so even if we don't have a second meeting in April, you'll get to see the report before we submit it, and we'll still meet the deadline. Our other grant items, the YT Trail Extension Feasibility Study is complete. TRPC has it. Lord knows what they're doing with it. It's a report, for crying out loud. It would be nice to see what they're going to ask us to pay for.
That whole process has not been okay. Just saying.
So, hopefully we'll get that soon. We had to go out for a second bid for the quarry pool renovation project this time.
I just want to say that Yelm Tenino Trail Extension Study has like been typical TRPC, where they don't give a darn about anything that we have to say about our study. They don't. They know better than we do. They're gonna hang out. They're gonna talk to DOT traffic engineers, and they're gonna suggest, their initial suggestions. And when I lost all faith in it, was we're sitting in a meeting with 15 other people over this trail extension feasibility study, and they're suggesting, instead of extending the trail, that we create a bike path that completely goes in a roundabout way through town, and it made no sense at all. And I was like, this is stupid. This is a complete waste of time.
And most of those people at that table are getting paid for it, so now you know why it's so expensive.
Yeah. So, anyway, sorry. Keep going.
You don't want to hear my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Want to hear mine?
No.
So,
Or keep this train moving.
right. So on the rebid for the quarry pool renovation, those bids are due June 19th. What we did is extend the timeline out a little bit. We changed this one up a little bit. There's a couple of contractor bulletin boards out there. I'm trying to get the request for proposal documentation posted on those. Hopefully some bigger contractual players here in this state will bid on it. But again, we don't know. And then the real question is, if this second round of bidding nets no responses or only one response, then what? The county has been unable to answer that question. And they're trying to coerce not just Tenino, but the other cities into spend, you gotta spend this money, you gotta spend, okay, but you guys are the ones that are making it really hard for anybody to spend it. And so we don't know what the answer is.
And it is them.
So we'll have gone through this process the way they want us to do it twice. And if we get no bids, then what? Do we give up? Or do we go to our small works roster and hire somebody who we know can get the job done, but under what conditions and at what cost? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. We talked about the RCSP funds. The total amount that we think is going to be Tenino's share will be $56,193.50. As the mayor indicated, the majority of that is going to be the city's match, if you will, for the bike kiosk. $10,000 Port of Olympia Small City Economic Fund grant in 2018. $5,000 of that went to prepare the plans, so the remaining $5,000 will help build the bike kiosk. Unofficially, we got the word that the 2019 grant will be approved, so that's $15,000 from the port, or $20,000 from the port, $5,000 for the plans, $15,000 for construction. If you go by Mr. Droll's estimate, that would be the city's responsibility to pick up that $45,000. So, in real rough terms, we'd have $11,000 left over. As the mayor mentioned, we'd like to get some of the really bad areas of sidewalks around town fixed. With your approval, of course. And I just ran through this small cities grant stuff. Veterans Mall, Memorial Wall, the contract with Thurston County has been closed out. Bill Linker subcontracted the voussoir stones to the Tenino stone carvers. Realize Tenino Stone Carvers is a consortium of independent contractors. So who is actually carving it and how do we hold them? Yeah, and how do we hold their feet to the fire to get them installed? We gotta apply a little pressure on Bill. Bill says he's gonna have it done by the end of May.
Bill put out a second, like an individual contract
Yeah.
with Ed. And, you know, it's, I think there's some mentoring going on there.
Sure.
So they're working on it.
Well,
I get progress reports.
just wanted to make the council officially aware that we haven't forgot about it.
Yeah.
We're still, we have a contract to produce an interpretive sign. It's going to be very nice. What is holding this process up right now is we're trying to figure out how to get a QR code that says what we want it to say, and then get that to the artist to have it incorporated in the design, and then she's camera ready to have this thing produced. But the walkway that it's supposed to be installed upon, we got to coordinate with Troy, I guess, and find out how we want to do that. That'll happen. It's just a matter of how painful it's going to be. The 2019 CDBG grant that you all talked about was presented to the county. And at the meeting where it was presented, we were one day from, it wasn't just us, it was all the cities, we're one day from the deadline to submit the plan that they told us to submit, and when we got there to discuss those plans, they changed the rules. And they are now asking the 3 cities that are applying for this grant to adjust their plans to accommodate another player who was a latecomer to the table. So,
Kind of. They're trying to make themselves a player.
yes.
The county is trying to get more money.
I thought they got $300,000.
They do. Every year. But now they want more. Yeah. We're working on it.
Yeah.
They opened up, we're working on it. It's kind of a mess. It's county staff.
Doing what they think
Yes.
is right, but
Yeah.
it's not in accordance with the guidance that the county commissioners
Yeah.
gave them.
You need a tattletale on them, because that's how we started getting the money in the first place.
Oh, I have.
I'm not
Yeah.
kidding, because they weren't giving us anything, and then somebody tattletaled on them, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
it started trickling out.
Seriously? They went
Yes.
first.
All right, keep going.
This is Southwest Washington Ag Park. We have submitted a request to have the city stand in the shoes of the EDC. What that means is, instead of the Department of Commerce funneling the $600,000 for the infrastructure extension through the EDC to somebody else to do the work, Commerce is just going to funnel the money to the city, who is going to have our city attorney do the work, not the city attorney, I'm sorry, our city engineer do the work. So that process is already down the track. The city engineer and the city are ready. The minute Commerce gives us the green flag, we'll start executing.
Sorry, miss, what was this for?
This is
The
extending the water and
infrastructure
sewer
money.
lines.
Okay.
Yeah, it was that money was named in the EDC's name,
Right.
and the EDC said, well, we get down to it, they're like, well, we don't do contracts. Can you guys do it? And we're like, okay,
So
yeah, we
this
can do
county
it.
directly does.
But you need to make it to where we're the recipient.
So that was just cleaning up stuff. The city itself submitted a $500,000 capital budget request to have this building renovated. It was approved by the House, but not by the Senate. So nobody's going to champion that except for the people sitting around this table.
So the same thing happened for the Ag Business Park. The Senate approved the $1.9 million request for the Ag Business Park buildings, but the House did not.
Yeah.
So then I went to like 10 representatives, from the 20th, the 19th, the 22nd, the 21st, and I called them all, I wrote them all messages, I talked to all their LAs, and I explained the whole thing, and I was, please advocate to make sure that this gets in the House budget, it's already in the Senate budget, and they all came back and said, yeah, we'll do it, that's fine. So it sounds like it's a good thing. Now we need to go to a couple senators and do the same thing, and we're kind of, I'm trying not to make it look like Tenino's asking for everything, but at the same time, we are asking for a lot, but I think we got a good chance of getting
I
it.
feel bad, they got 3 million for Chicago's courthouse.
Who else are you gonna talk to on the Senate side?
I'm not sure yet.
Well,
Braun's the first step.
But he needs to talk to some of the Democrats, because they're the ones that have the majority. I can't pound that into your brain enough, that those are the ones that we need to be addressing, whether you want to or not.
No.
They're the ones, you know.
No, we're not, there's nobody we're not calling, you know, with the other one,
Sam
Lori
Hunt.
Dolan, Beth Doley, I call all those
Yeah,
guys.
those are reps.
Yeah, well, I know, but for the
Sam
ag
Hunt.
business part, that's who I call.
Sam Hunt is a no. He's a no. He's
For
a
our
no.
city hall money?
For the ag park thing.
Oh, well, he has nothing to do with that. That's already in, that's already
But
in.
that doesn't
Senate.
mean it's gonna stay there.
Okay, but I'm not gonna waste my time with Sam Hunt.
No,
The
I
senators we need to talk to are about the city organization.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you shouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
She should be alright too.
That should be all right.
There's just a couple senators that we need to target for the city
I'm
hall
trying to think of the
organization.
best ones, just a minute, let me think about it.
Budget writers, whoever the budget writers are.
Well, that's Rolfus, Christine Rolfus from the 23rd Legislative District is the chair of the Ways and Means Committee. And that's, they write the budget.
We'll talk about it tomorrow or the next day or something. Alright, that's
it.
your report. My report, I was gone out of town for a long time. And then I got back and I had to, do a mad dash to contact, 10 different legislators and all those things. And so I spent a couple days doing that, catching up on all my emails, and that is my total report as far as I know. I do want to say that I didn't mention in the Public Works Department report, Public Works picked up trash from the city limit sign over by Jason's, west to the city limits, and they spent a day and they picked up 20 and filled up 27 bags of trash out of the ditch. That's a lot of garbage, but I mean that's really, they don't have to do those kind of things. They do that independently. These guys, they do a good job. All of our staff does a good job, except Ronna. And
She knew that was.
it's really cool what they do. So when they said, and that was when he's like, well, we got a truck that is full of trash. We picked up 27 bags, and we're going to pick up these mattresses out of the alley where somebody complained, and we're picking up these sofas behind, and it's pretty cool. They're doing a good job, so I really appreciate that, and let them know you appreciate it too. We only had one meeting last month. We got a lot done tonight. I don't think we need a meeting next month. I would like to go ahead and try that again if you guys are cool with that. A second meeting this month. Are you guys on board with that?
So you kind of want to just go once a month?
Not during budget. Not during budget.
Right.
I'm thinking unless we're doing heavy lifting, this is what Dakota does. Unless we're doing heavy lifting, we can get away with one a month, but we may have to do like a short work session. But I'm
Change our ordinance.
yeah. But we can make a motion to whatever, cancel the next meeting tonight.
What about, how time sensitive is that grant for the chief?
It's the first I've heard about it. I don't think he knows. But we don't need your approval to write it. We need your approval to accept the money.
Yeah.
So if it's something that he's working on, and when we take a look at it and it makes sense for us, we'll just sign it. If there's no obligation of like money out of the budget that we'd have to be worried about it. If there's a matching requirement that we can't shoehorn in somewhere, then we would contact you all. But if it's just like the traffic safety commission stuff, like those speed signs, they just sign that we'll be responsible for it and participate in the program. So we'll take a look at it.
Right.
We don't want to miss some opportunity like that. We want those skills.
Because the way I look at it, if we're gonna have a work session, we might as well handle business as well.
Yes. So
I'll make a motion to cancel the next
A second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to cancel the next meeting in April. Do I hear any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Alright, motion passes.
Accepting is that they gotta still sign.
Yeah, we'll have checks and stuff that need to be signed.
Okay, well, I'll come, now when do you want it? Can
Well, I do it Tuesday, the day of council, after we get the mail, so we can get all the bills paid.
Okay, well, I'm thinking about me working and not being able to come in and sign them.
We just need a majority.
Yeah,
Okay.
just
and I
be
don't-
free.
Okay.
So,
I can-
so Ron,
It's starting in,
The
well, because I'm.
Tuesday
sometimes I'm working
of
till
what
like
would have
10,
been our next
26,
council meeting, come in there
And I'm
and
leaving
sign.
the
Yeah.
29th. I won't-
Meeting adjourned.
I won't be back until
Okay,
the 4th of May, so.
Oh, you SIP or all those other ones?
Yeah.
SIP and.
I don't know, I gotta get my daughter.
I'll just tell you guys real quick, we had a meeting with SIP, we had, of course, those grant applications went out. Just for the SIP funds, there were 18 applications. There is a request for $770,000 and we have $360,000 available. So now we'll have a meeting next month to decide, that's all there was, 360. So
More
we're
than
gonna
was
have
last
to
year.
make a lot of cuts for people that ask for money, so it's gonna be it's kinda hard when you look at all these requests, and they're all valid requests to do things to help people,
I would
but
not want that.
decided that you knew.
Okay, everybody, goodbye.
Goodbye.
School's doing great, by the way.
Sit down and figure out a route for how to bring them down. So
Okay.
hold up.
Okay.
Right now?
Two quick signatures.
It's gonna be red.
Yeah, I heard it's gonna be really well.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Well, I was just thinking of, trying to think of who you want to contact.
I guess put it in black so that when you go back.
Thank you, sir. I'll get the, fee schedule changed, done up on that. Swing by.
All right, goodbye. All right.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Sorry about the stupid PRA
I
thing.
used to have to suck it in.
It's not your fault.
Last day, what day?
We just need to go through
How
that
much I used to weigh.
bridge.
Should've heard the chief.
You made me get scared, so I didn't want you to pass me up.
Oh, I bet.
All right, you
Yeah,
guys have a good night.
I was thinking that when he was in here. All right, what are we gonna do with your computer?
Well, I'm new here, so you tell me.
I'd like to burn all those stupid, they're not worth it.
Well, I do have one from home if I can bring that.
You're more than welcome, but notice that all the systems we're moved to are all web-based.
Yeah.
So nothing goes on your computer, you're just accessing the city's
Yeah,
web
you
stuff.
can get it from the website.
Right,
Yeah.
so if you're comfortable with that's fine, there's nothing wrong with that. I feel bad because we should be providing you with that, and right now I can't do it.
That's